Why do you have such a strong opinion that this game should not be played on Monday night?
Well, I think everyone should, and that doesn't mean they should agree with my opinion, but I just think it's ridiculous to put this thing on Monday night for any team.
Yeah.
Cowboys are going to get back, we'll be on the charter. We're going to get back somewhere around 3:30 in the morning, right? Give or take probably 15 minutes or something. These coaches have to go in and get ready for a game plan on a short week. And even Tampa playing at home, it'll be a little bit different for them because, they're going to go back to their own beds. They're going to get to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. You can go up and have your workday. These coaches are not going to get to sleep until 5 in the morning, somewhere around there. And they're going to be right back in the office having a game plan on a short week. And I just think, hey, during the regular season, everybody goes through something in the schedule where it's not perfect, right? We know that. And if you're the Cowboys, you're going to go through a lot of that because you're always on these primetime games, right? So I just think you can't look at this and say, how do we do this to this team? Because the Cowboys will most likely be on the road in the second round, right, if they win. So you're going to come back on Monday morning, well, really Tuesday morning, and get ready for a game that you're going to have to travel to. Could be San Francisco, could be Philadelphia. And you're going to have to travel there on a short week, and I just think it puts you at a competitive disadvantage. And I just think in the playoffs, everything has to be geared toward making it just
fair.
as even as as fair as possible for the teams. Again, regular season, 17 games. There's going to come a time where you're trying to schedule all these games, whatever it is now, 271 used to be 256, where hey, it's not going to match up perfectly for you. But that should not be in the playoffs. Way too much at stake in these playoffs to do that. That's my opinion.
Yes, sir. Babe Laufenberg here on The Fan. Always like taking advantage of your film study. Did you watch Game 1 again? What do you take?
I'm only laughing. I was talking to Peyton, your producer, on the break, and I said I just looked at the whole game again last night.
Yeah.
All 22. And, and they throttled them pretty good. The one thing I kind of forgot from Game 1, Zeke ran the ball pretty well. He only had a long run of 7. But he had 52 yards on 10 carries, and it was a bunch of 4 and 5 and 6, and he ran the ball fairly well against them. Actually, I'd say very well. Obviously, they got behind, and the game turned into a passing game, so had to kind of get away from it. Now, as we all know, we're 4 months down the road, so a lot of things have changed. But they ran the ball better than I thought, and then they just locked him up, and CD got frustrated. You could, just watching the tape, you could just feel the frustration again. They took him out of the game, not by doubling or anything. Cowboys ran a bunch of option routes with CD in that game, and they just didn't look very good. I don't even know if they run them anymore with him. But, Cowboys were kind of feeling out their offense and their way through that thing. But, certainly did not play well.
What have you seen from the Bucs offense on tape?
Well, they never really hit stride until, if you watched 2 weeks ago, and Mike Evans had 3 touchdowns. I mean, Evans only had 6 touchdown passes, or receptions, this season. 3 of them came in the Carolina game, right, and had 200 and change, but they have not been able to run the ball. They really don't try. They were last in the NFL in rushing, which I think bodes well for Dallas because, as we all know, the weak spot, well, up until the corner situation evolved a couple of weeks ago, has been the run. And when Tampa Bay came in here the first time, and Mike McCarthy has said it many times, you kept waiting for Tampa to throw the ball in that Game 1 this year. And they came out the first series and ran it. And I was like, okay, well, they showed something. Now they'll start throwing it. And they came out second series and ran it. And they ran it. So they kind of went away from script in that first game. But again, they have not been a good rushing team all year long. So I think the Cowboys should be able to handle that aspect of Tampa Bay's offense.
What's been wrong with Tom Brady this year and the passing game? You got Evans, you got Godwin, and you're scoring 17 points a game.
It's been off, hasn't it? And I happen to, you guys probably have too. Seems like Tampa's played a lot of the Sunday or Monday or just games where at least I had the opportunity to watch them. You know, if they play Sunday opposite Cowboys, you don't really see them. You see some highlights. But they just look out of sync, don't they? I mean, they just don't look right.
Yeah.
But, you know, they've still got number 12 back there, and that scares me. I don't care how old he is. I don't care how many divorces he's been through this year. I don't care about any of it. You see 12 and you just say, you get that sinking feeling of, oh, no, right? You know, hey, how about this one? Tom Brady, playoff win. He has more playoff wins than the other 13 quarterbacks combined. Combine the other 13. You know who he is tied with in playoff wins, though? The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, no.
I don't mean Dak Prescott. I mean the franchise.
Holy cow.
They both got 35. Is that crazy?
Yeah, nuts.
It's crazy.
So, Babe, a lot of guys coming back off of injury here. You're going to get Tyler Biadasz, Jonathan Hankins, Leighton Vander Esch. Which one do you think has the chance to be the most impactful for this specific game?
Oh, I think it's Leighton. Damone Clark has come in and, you know, he's done a nice job, but he had been hurt coming in. Obviously didn't have camp, the whole 9 yards. I just think, aside from what the coaches and players talk about, which I'm not privy to, of getting guys lined up and being that vocal leader in on the defense and being the guy who sets a lot of the fronts and for the defensive line and things of that nature, he's just so much more physical than what they've had in there. And he goes sideline to sideline, as we know. And I think Leighton's one of those guys, fellas, where I wasn't of this ilk, but, you know, people, oh, Leighton, they're overpaying him, they're this, they're that. He's a number one, should be better. And then you don't have him, and it's like, oh, boy, do we miss him.
Right.
I think Anthony Brown's a little bit of that guy, right? There's a lot of vitriol thrown Anthony Brown's way, and then you don't have him, and you're like, oh, boy. Maybe he was a little better than we thought. So I think Leighton's going to be a big factor in this ball game and for this defense.
Babe, Dak was horrible at the end of the season, and he was horrible in the first game of the season. 3 points scored. This Cowboys offense against this Buccaneers defense could look like what, in your opinion?
Well, Tampa Bay locked down the Cowboys receivers in that first game. I think at some point here they're going to have to take some deep shots, and I mean early, double move, get the Tampa Bay defenders off them. You go back, I looked at the game. Every ball was basically contested. I mean, they jumped routes. They were not afraid of a deep threat in that game. Tampa Bay did not appear to be. So I honestly, if I'm Kellen Moore, I try to back them off early with a couple of shots, and I always call them investments. You don't even need to hit them necessarily. Obviously, you want to, right? But all of a sudden, when that corner realizes, oh, geez, they may try to run by me here, they play things a little bit differently. I think T.Y. Hilton, I would have him more involved in this game because if you want to talk about somebody that can run by you, even at 33, it's still T.Y. Hilton. Noah Brown, maybe the best route runner, but he just doesn't threaten anybody with his speed. So they're going to be jumping all those short and back them off a little bit with a couple of double moves early. Don't wait till the fourth quarter and then play the game from there.
Babe, last one, few seconds left. Your thoughts on the Mike McCarthy job security that we may or may not have started Tuesday?
I kind of laugh. I mean, only from the standpoint that this is a guy that's gone 12-5, right? Consecutive years. And you've been to the playoffs 2 consecutive years. We all know the stats. No coach, no team. The Cowboys haven't made it. I mean, they're 12-5. They're not sneaking in.
Right.
I mean, Tampa Bay is, let's face it, they're sneaking in a bad division at 8-9. Cowboys would have had the opportunity to do that in 2020, but obviously they were poor that year, went through a lot of quarterbacks, the whole 9 yards. But, I mean, to me, you want to be like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that means knocking on the door every year. Pittsburgh's always knocking on the door. Doesn't mean they get there, doesn't mean they win it. But if you get there enough, eventually you're going to break through. And you go back to so many of these playoff games, and I know we got to wrap this up, but New England doesn't win if there's not the tuck rule in 2001 and Adam Vinatieri hits a 45-yard field goal in a damn blizzard, right? The non-call pass interference against the Rams, they don't make the Super Bowl if that is officiated correctly. It's New Orleans, right? I mean, the list goes on and on about one play turning the fortunes of a game. So you just got to hope you stay close, and you hope that the ball bounces your way. I mean, as we know, the ball bounces funny ways. It is not a perfect game. There's going to be things that happen in the game that you're going to have to overcome, and you just got to try to be the team that can do it.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, brother. As always, have a great trip and a great call. We will be listening. Babe Laufenberg on the Diamond Factory Hotline.